is a Furnish Brothers production.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Talkin' Buds podcast.
The Talkin' Buds podcast.
About the buds, by the buds, for the buds.
This is the Talking Buds podcast. And now, here's your host, Rob and Ryan.
You know, Rye, in actuality, we've only been off for a couple weeks. And it feels like a year, though. Feels like we haven't got on the pod and talked Leafs in forever. So much has happened.
Yeah, it honestly feels like 2 years. I know it's a new year, but dude, go back and listen to the last episode. Like, it literally feels like 2 seasons ago when we last discussed this hockey team on this podcast. And I don't even know where to begin. Like, you're gonna have to guide me through this episode because there is so much to cover. There's the current games, there's the past games, there's the performances. I'm lost. I don't even know where to start.
Let's start with the fact that it's a new year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And for that, let's open a PBR, the working man's beer, the beer of choice for me for this podcast. PBR, baby.
At what point, when is it like, when are we done saying Happy New Year? Like, at what point? Like, you're right, like,
it's over.
By the time most people listen to this, it'll be January 9th. Like, so are we already like, it's over?
I don't know. I think it's like situational. Like
if you're bumping into someone and they wish you Happy New Year, are you thinking like,
Oh, well, I work construction, and I was working at a customer's house before the holidays, and then you had the holidays, and then when I saw them for the first time on Monday, they said Happy New Year, and I wasn't offended by it.
No.
I thought it was appropriate.
Well, Monday, yeah. I think you got until about middle of the month.
I think maybe the first time you see someone, if you kind of recently saw them, like if you saw someone for the first time in a couple of years, I don't think you're throwing the Happy New Year on them. But if it's just like you took a break for the holidays and then you see someone, I think the Happy New Year is appropriate.
Yeah, I agree. So where to begin? It's so typical that we take a couple weeks off. The longest break we've taken since we've started Talking Buds, and the Leafs go on their biggest heater of the season.
Oh.
It's just so typical.
Yeah, of course. And I was like, maybe we should just take the whole season off.
I want to start with Sheldon Keefe. That's where I want to start this conversation because guy sets a record. First Leaf coach ever to win 15 of his first 20 games. The team looks like a completely different hockey team. He shakes up the lines and does something that I personally never... How many times on this podcast over the last 2 years, and bear with me tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I am battling just an awful cold.
I'm right here with you, man. Yeah. Honestly, it is garbage.
Yeah, I'm dying. So apologies for my nasally voice or if I trip over my words tonight. I'm a little out of it. So how many times have we talked line combos on this show? It never once occurred to me to put Nylander and Tavares together.
Rob, I'm glad you brought that up because what I have been saying to people who are asking me my opinion on these line changes is like, when Mike Babcock was the coach of this hockey team, I didn't even know that John Tavares and William Nylander lived on the same planet.
Yep.
Or played on the same hockey team.
Yep.
And you put them together and give it the game against the Jets. that just happened. I thought Nylander was awful, and that line was terrible. But aside from that, they've been phenomenal in this stretch where they got points 10 games straight. And it's just like, who would have thought you could actually put players together on a line that are on the same hockey team, and it's allowed?
Is he not making, and I do not want to turn this into a Babcock conversation, but I've thought this a bunch of times over the last couple weeks. Is he not making Babcock look like the biggest idiot that's ever existed?
It's hard not to bring him up.
Yeah, like I don't want to say, like, it's not even about like, oh well, he's set in his ways. No, he's an idiot. Like, he's an idiot.
Yeah, like, dude, I agree. It's hard not to kind of throw his name in the mud and kind of bring up all the conversations. But at this point, it's like, you look at the run they go on and all the things that Keefe's doing differently, and it's like, this guy was clearly
coaching.
Yeah, this guy's clearly was like just out of his mind. Like, what was he doing? I don't know what he was doing.
I don't know what he's doing either. Just set the roster in stone, and that was it.
Yeah. Well, he's just an idiot.
He is just an idiot.
I want to talk to him right now. What is he doing?
He's
hunting?
He's in seclusion in somewhere in Saskatchewan,
Yeah.
waiting to reappear sometime in the off season to apply for a job. But right now he's got to lay low because bully coaches in hockey are under fire everywhere right now. So if I'm his agent, I'm saying, you know what, Mike? Maybe don't apply for the Nashville job. Let them give that to John Hines. You just lay low. And let everyone forget about the fact.
That's an off-season hire for sure.
Yeah. Let everyone forget about the fact that you bullied Mitch Marner, and let's just move on with our lives.
Yeah, as should we on this podcast.
Yes, as should we. So what do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about, like, guys on the roster? Do you want to talk about my highlights over the break? I have one particular game over the break that I wanted to discuss, but let's talk about players first.
Yeah, I think before you start here, it's just for all the people who haven't enjoyed this run that they've been on with us, I think we should just go and kind of reminisce with our listeners and get pumped about what just happened over the 2 weeks that we were gone.
Well, there was the epic day 8-6 game against the Carolina Hurricanes. One of the most epic hockey games I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, that was phenomenal.
There was the first victory, and then they had wins against the Devils and then Minnesota. But then there was the game last week against Winnipeg, the 6-3 win that I thought was fantastic.
Yep.
Then there was, in my opinion, was their most impressive performance of the season this past Saturday night against the New York Islanders. That, to me, was when I because they got on this heater, right? And in the back of your mind, you're like, okay, they're beating these teams. They're going to get in the playoffs. And at some point, they're going to have to play one of these better teams. They're going to have to play a Boston, a New York, Tampa, Washington. Like, if you're going to get to the cup, you're going to have to go through those teams. And the performance with Michael Hutchinson in the net that the Leafs put on Saturday night against the New York Islanders, to me, just their 200-foot game, the limiting chances in the defensive zone, which is huge to me, the depth scoring, like the Kapanen to Engvall goal, everyone's favorite Toronto Maple Leaf, Pierre Engvall.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's the front runner for favorite Leaf at the moment.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Legend.
But Ryan, Sheldon Keefe got a shutout out of Michael Hutchinson.
Yeah, which is shocking. A couple dubs out of Michael Hutchinson.
Yes.
And that's exactly that was one of your New Year's resolutions.
Yes, that was one of my New Year's resolutions.
Get the backup goalie going, but
they got to get it figured out.
Yeah, and for this run, like, you look at the schedule, and they really kicked it off when they beat St. Louis, and then they go and beat Vancouver, and then they had that one game against Calgary, and then after that, like, they beat Edmonton. That was a great game, and like, you look at the teams they play after that. They're not great teams. They're not playoff teams. But again, it's like when you're a good team in this league and you're expected to make the playoffs, you got to beat teams like that. That's exactly what they did. And it wasn't always pretty. Some of them were pretty. Some of them weren't. And you got wins out of your backup. And Freddie, for the most part, has let in a lot of goals lately. And that's okay with me. I'm not criticizing him for that. But it's finding a way to win that they figured out, like, since Keefe has showed up, which is such a big thing. Like, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but tonight against the Jets, like, that game doesn't go into overtime a month ago, you know?
Well, I want to talk about the Oiler game the other night before we talk about tonight's game. So they play the Oilers. So let me tell you what happened to me. So on Monday, I get up, I go to work, I'm feeling normal. I'm like, I'm okay, right? And then like when I start to like afternoon coming home from work, it just hits me, and I got the chills and I got the fever going. And like, so I'm laying in bed watching the game, and I'm like not making it, man. So I turned it off and I put it on the radio. I listened to the game on the radio. Joe Bowen is a national treasure.
Oh, 100%.
Like,
oh boy,
absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
absolutely fantastic. Like, I didn't see the McDavid goal, but I heard Joe Bowen call it, and it was something else. What about Morgan Riley getting absolutely turnstyled by the greatest hockey player on earth? Yeah.
Walked, man.
Yeah,
that was tough to watch. I felt bad for him, and it's tough too because it's like that's the one guy you do not want to be in that situation with.
And you are gonna be on the highlight reel getting walked.
Quick hot take though, that I don't think that goal is as legendary as people are making it out to be. I think the hype around it is like it's a new goal and it's by McDavid in Toronto, which gets everyone fired up for some reason. Doesn't get me fired up. I don't really care, but I don't really see how that goal is one of the greatest goals ever scored. Yeah, Riley got walked, but I've seen McDavid score that goal a million times.
Yeah. So, to me, the game the other night against Edmonton was just a burn-the-tape game. They've been on such a good run lately. They didn't play well, so burn the tape, move on. And tonight, they came out and they played a run-and-gun Toronto Maple Leafs-style hockey game against the Winnipeg Jets and ended up losing 4-3 in a shootout. They battled back to get the extra point. Ryan, where do you want to start with this game? I think the only place to start is with the all-world performance, as I said on Instagram, by Auston Matthews.
Yes, and hear me right here. Everyone texting me saying how Auston Matthews this, Auston Matthews that, calling us out for chirping him earlier in the season, which to me, that's in the past. We call it like we see it when we record this podcast.
Hold on. Hang on. Anyone who's chirping me or us for calling him out, go back and actually listen to what I said. I said that if this team is going to be successful, he needs to play like that. He wasn't playing like that. And in this last little while, I just saw Brian Hayes on Twitter said that Matthews is Dougie 93 levels. Like, yes, that's what he has to be. That's
Rob,
what I said.
Guess what? He gets paid to do that. That's what drives me crazy about this. It's like, tonight everyone's like, oh, he's unbelievable. I don't know how you could chirp him. It's like, tonight he played, and lately he's been playing like an $11.6 million hockey player. Yes. This is what I expect out of him every night.
Yes.
He could score a goal every game.
Yes.
Like, I know that's unrealistic, but like he's that damn good. And we know he's that damn good. So when he isn't that damn good, we get pissed off and frustrated, and we call him out.
To your point earlier, and this is why I never get on Nylander, because like we're talking about how Nylander's on he was on a nice little run there when they put him with Tavares, and then tonight you're like, yeah, well, he's invisible tonight, and it's like, yeah, he was invisible tonight, but like I'm not as hard on Nylander when he disappears because he doesn't make $11.6 million like Auston Matthews does. I don't expect William Nylander to be a top 5 player in this league. I expect Auston Matthews to be a top 5 player in this league. And you saw tonight what happens when he plays like a top 5 player in this league. The Leafs' first line didn't have it tonight. They didn't have it. and he carried them back. He was a force every single shift. He was every time he's out there, he's making plays. He's all over the ice. His 200-foot game is there. When the puck is on his stick in the offensive zone, something's always happening. Like,
he was their best player.
He's paid to be.
Yeah, he was their best player by a mile, man. Like, it wasn't even close. I actually thought the rest of the team had a pretty mediocre game aside from Travis Dermott, who I thought was phenomenal tonight.
He got a promotion ahead of the game.
Yeah, he looked great, man. He's physical. He's got the speed. But, man, Auston Matthews was their best player tonight by a mile, and he has been their best player for this stretch since Keefe has showed up. And it's refreshing. And usually we compare him to Connor McDavid. And we saw Connor McDavid the other night. Auston Matthews is never going to be Connor McDavid. He doesn't have the speed, and he can't dominate possession like Connor McDavid does. But you know what Auston Matthews does when he's on his game and he's actually playing like the way he should and the way he gets paid? He scores a ton of goals, and he has so many chances, shots on shots, and you can just see the confidence with him with the puck, like through the legs like that. It's like, you know, like guys who do stuff like that during a game are guys who think they're unreal, and they are unreal, and they're brimming with confidence. Like, the amount of chances he had tonight was unreal. And like, thank God Keefe finally put Marner with Matthews. Like give it a shot. Like,
that was forbidden for 3 years.
Yeah, and you quit, and they quit. And like, every time they didn't do something, it's like they were almost nervous to get on the ice together.
Yep.
Because they were so afraid to make a mistake, because they knew once they made a mistake, what was going to happen? They were going to be off that line and not playing with each other anymore. Yep. And it's like, why not put your most dynamic passer with your most dynamic scorer? And the reason why people take this team so seriously is because on the other line, you have John Tavares, who's also a highly paid hockey player, who's highly respected, who is highly skilled, and can carry a line. And when he actually shows up, which finally he has been missing for a year and a half, William Nylander could score too when he actually shows up. So that's why I'm so happy those guys are just like, they're playing together, and it's a line. It's a line now. It's not an experiment. It's something that we expect every night until Sheldon decides to change it. And when he does change it, I'm sure it's for a good reason.
And he's not afraid to load them up, too. That's what I love.
Yeah, and like during the game, like you'll see, like he'll just throw out random combinations. And whether it's Nylander, Tavares, and Marner, or Tavares, Matthews, and Marner, like, it doesn't matter. Like, whatever he feels like doing it, he's going to do it. Even though tonight, when those three guys were on the ice, they got hemmed in every shift. But, I just, you know what? Like, you could just see how much fun they are having on the ice. Like, the other night against Edmonton, they just didn't have it that night. They still got a ton of goals, though. And then tonight, it's like you can just see, like, there's such a difference in the way this team is playing and the streak they went on. To me, it's like they look like a fast team again. And it's not just the top 6 guys, too. It's the bottom 6 guys. Like, we were texting during the game, and we were talking about all the Marlies that have been called up. And it's just, it's phenomenal. They've been great.
Well, yeah, we kind of brushed over this when we were talking about the 2 weeks that we took off. It's like, but they got some significant injuries right now. They have Janssen, who's on the IR. They've got Moore, who's on the IR. They've got Mikheyev, who got, it's like,
yeah, which, by the way, I'm so upset about that. Wow.
Dude, that's a scary injury.
Scary injury to my favorite Toronto Maple Leaf.
Wrist laceration.
Yeah.
And then they've got Jake Muzzin, who's on, Muzzin's the only one who's not on IR. He's day-to-day. So you mentioned Dermott earlier. He got promoted up to the top 4 tonight with Hull, which was great because I think Travis, I love the physicality. Is it just me, or is he playing with a little more of an edge this year?
100%.
Dermott, when he's on the ice. He's not afraid to lay the body, man. I love it. The only negative about the promotion of Dermott is Marinson and Cece.
Yeah, but that's temporary.
That's a problem for me.
To me, it's like all those injuries, all those guys you just named, like I don't even notice that they're gone. Except boy, Ilya Mikheyev, which, by the way, That broke my heart because that guy is a hockey player and I love him. So that really upset me. But like, who is sitting at home thinking about Andreas Janssen right now?
No one.
Nobody.
No one. Yeah. Like that Kerfoot is now up the lineup playing the wing with Tavares and Nylander. And then the Marley call-ups that you alluded to earlier are good guy Pierre Engvall.
Oh, legend.
Adam Brooks.
Love Adam Brooks.
And Dmytro Timashov.
Yeah, he's been up in the lineup. Marchment made an appearance too.
Yes, yep.
Freddie the Goat's been scoring some nice goals.
Yep. Freddie the Goat's been. I
mean, I could still go without the Goat. I'm not gonna lie, but
I can only get so excited about Freddie the Goat.
Yeah, I could go without the Goat, but I've liked Brooks a lot, and Kapanen's making some plays. Like, dude, like they're really impressing me with the depth scoring and all these guys who Keefe has had so much success with in the AHL, winning a Calder Cup and always having a good team down there. And it's like, you know how you win when you're up against the salary cap? You have guys like Pierre Engvall and Adam Brooks and God bless his heart, even though he's injured, Ilya Mikheyev, even though he was a signing. Like, that's how you win in this league when you're up against the cap. And just seeing tonight, like Timashov come up with a big goal set up by Brooks. It's like, nice. Nice. Thank you. It's not Nick Shore and Goat out there trying to plug up 45 seconds.
He was playing for the Winnipeg Jets tonight.
And thank
God. If Babs was still behind the bench, he'd be a third line center.
And thank God for that. And you know what else I love at all this? Like, unrelated to the bottom six, is Zach Hyman is back on a line with Auston Matthews. And you know what people are saying about it? Nothing.
Yeah, I know.
Absolutely nothing.
I know.
It's great.
Yeah. It was the biggest cause for concern.
Oh yeah, Auston Matthews, he can't succeed with Zach Hyman on his line.
No. And now he's already got 31 goals.
Phenomenal.
So we said earlier, actually, before we move on to them in the standings, I want to talk about Freddie Anderson because hasn't been great lately. And I think this is going to be a big topic of conversation in the media because they don't play again till Sunday. So we got a few days off here. So I think that he's going to be the main topic of discussion because he got the hook the other night. By the way, I loved that. Like, I loved that they were just asleep at the wheel the other night and leaving Fred out to dry. So Keefe pulls him, and then he says to the team, I'm not going to leave Fred in there to play behind this. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and they're on a big streak, too. And guess what? Doesn't care. Still does it anyways.
Yeah, I know. I love Ryan.
I had no problem with it either.
I love him. I am the president. Anoint me the president of the Sheldon Keefe fan club.
Yeah,
I'm honestly chairman of the board.
Yeah.
Guy's a legend.
You know what else I love too is like you watch the pre-games or post-games with them, and you think about the Leaf coaches that came before him. You got Paul Maurice, who is like brimming with personality, even though he doesn't try to. Ron Wilson, Randy Carlyle, Mike Babcock.
You forgot Ryan.
No, that doesn't count. It does not. The give you know what meter does not count.
Ryan, I'm sorry. In my world, Peter Horachek is in that list of legendary Leaf coaches.
And then you watch Keefe's like post-game pressers, and it's like, this guy is not in the same mold as those ego maniacs.
Yes.
Like literally like side by side. I wish we could do this for our listeners right now. Like look at a Babcock post compared to a Keefe post. Like it is just completely on another planet. Like, oh my goodness,
it's fantastic. But to your point, it's all about the ego. It's just the fact that he's not afraid to mix things up in the middle of the game. He doesn't care about like his way or the highway. Like it boggles the mind to look back on what we were dealing with in the first couple months of this season.
Yeah, I'll give my quick thought on Freddie right now, though.
Yeah.
Freddie, if you're a fan of this hockey team and have been a fan since Freddie's been here and you've watched the games, you know by now, or you should know by now, because I know by now, what type of goalie Freddie Andersen is in the regular season. Yep. He's a Vezina Trophy candidate for months at a time. And for those other months, he's prone to the softie. He lets in a lot of goals. And his team also gives up a lot of shots. So you got to expect a streaky season from the guy. But you know he's going to be in that 915 to 920 range. And he's going to get you to the playoffs. Like that you should know that by now. And to me, Freddie Andersen is bulletproof.
He's a coin flip in the playoffs.
I'm getting to that. And for me, Freddie Andersen's bulletproof in the regular season. I will always defend him through softies, through bad games, because I know what type of goaltender he is. The one thing, as you just mentioned, about Freddie Andersen that I want to see is I need to see that big save in Game 7.
Yep.
Like that to me, that's the only question mark about Fred Andersen. Other than that, regular season Fred Andersen, I know what you're getting.
Yep.
You're getting a great goalie who, like, dude, like, they showed the stat before the game. I texted you about it.
Yes.
Since 2016, Freddie Andersen has seen 7,200 shots. The guy in second place was the goalie he was opposite to tonight, Connor Hellebuck. Is second with 6,700. That's 500 extra shots.
You know what? You see that stat though, and I'm
nuts.
Like, that's about right.
That's crazy, man.
That's about right.
He's faced 500 more pucks.
That's
in that time span. Like that is insanity.
I believe it. The way this team's played defense over the years, I believe it.
I respect Freddie Andersen. Like when I see something like that, it's like, man, like it's tough to do your job when you have to do it more and more than all your other competition. All the other Vezina Trophy winners, great goalies in this league, and you got to work way harder than they do. Like that, man, to me, I'm saying right now on this podcast, I will never chirp Freddie Andersen until I get in a playoff round. Yeah. Regular season Freddie, I know what he is, and I'm totally okay with who he is.
You're just going to have to get through the ebbs and flows of his season. Like, you're just going to have to accept that there's chunks of the schedule where he's not himself. And he clearly is a guy who's in his head a little bit. And when he's in a good place mentally, you can see it in his body language. He's a really transparent guy. Like, you can tell the second the game starts and the way he's moving in his crease and the way he's tracking the puck, like what frame of mind he's in. And if he's not in the right frame of mind, he's a lot more skittish. He doesn't swallow pucks up like tonight. Like, he's giving up lots of rebounds. He's not catching them from the point. They're like going through his glove. Like, it's really, he's very transparent like that.
Yeah, I totally see that. Even though tonight in overtime, that was phenomenal.
Oh my God. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. That the overtime tonight was outstanding. Like, I don't want to be like jump on the bandwagon guy because everyone says this, but like 10 minutes of 3-on-3 is
dude, everyone's on the bandwagon.
Yeah,
it's I'm totally okay with hopping on this bandwagon anytime because that's the way it should be.
3-on-3 is what is actually required.
100%.
Yeah, because that was amazing.
Yeah, that was some of the most entertaining hockey I've ever seen in my life. They were done by the end of it.
Yeah, they were.
They were so tired. But guess what? I could have saw another 5 of that.
So them going on their heater in the month of December has skyrocketed them up the Atlantic Division standings. They are currently tied with the Lightning at 54 points for second in the division. The Bruins lead the division at 61 points. Ryan, if the playoffs started tomorrow, the Leafs would be going on the road to Tampa. Based on the other teams in their division, they'd have to go on a bit of a skid to fall out of a playoff spot. So even doing things like coming back and getting the 1 point tonight is big because they would have fallen behind Tampa. So I said this to you earlier. To me, we're kind of in the same spot that we were in last year, where I think it's imperative. I don't know that they're going to catch Boston. That should be your goal and what you should be striving towards. But to me, the 2 seed is where you're shooting for, and you got to get home ice. Like, we can't go on the road again to start the postseason. Like, whether it's Tampa in the first round, Boston, whoever, gotta be at home, gotta get that 2 seed.
I have so many thoughts on this standings conversation. Like, first of all, a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about playoff spot not guaranteed, like, to get back in that playoff spot, good teams go on heaters, and that's exactly what they did. And I got to give them all the credit in the world, because that little 9-game, 10-game run they had, like, got them right back in the conversation. And right now, right here, I am guaranteeing a Toronto Maple Leaf top 3 spot in that division.
Look at that.
Because you just look at the rest of the standing, it's like, you know what, they're too good. Like, they're better than Florida. The Habs are done. The Sabres are done. Like,
yep.
Now you got to fight for that home ice. And man, like, I don't think that's so stupid. Is you look at the standings, you look at the wins, the Bruins overtime losses, like getting them that far ahead in the standings. Like, that's stupid, man. Like, that's ridiculous.
I know.
Like, come on. Like,
for those who don't know,
for those
who don't know or don't have it in front of them, the Bruins have 11 overtime losses currently.
Yeah, and it's like, I get it. Like, you give a team a point for going to overtime, but it's a little frustrating when the Leafs, when we thought they were having such a horrible year, you look at the standings and you're like, oh, the Leafs and the Bruins have the same amount of wins. Yeah. And then you look at the point differential and you're like, there's 6 points ahead. And it's just like OT losses. Like tonight, I was stoked that the Leafs got the extra point. Like, tonight, selfishly, I was happy that was a rule. But when you look at the Bruins and how far ahead they are, it's like, this is a little stupid. Like, it's hard to get the concept of what teams' true records are when they're like 24-6-11. It's like, nah, you're 24-17. Yeah. Like, you're not, like, what is that? Like,
yep.
I don't know. I think it's stupid, but I would way rather face Tampa in the first round than Boston. I'll tell you that right now. Yeah, I know we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but I just guaranteed a playoff spot, so I'm gonna start talking about it.
So you're just gonna go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you on that, but I think you got to battle to get the home ice. I just think it's so important. I think it's something they haven't had, and let's just get off on the right foot in the postseason. Have the 2 games at home. And it's just important. I don't know what else to say. I just think it's that, to me, it's imperative that they do that.
Boy, look at us, eh? Like,
oh, we've come a long way.
Talking playoffs now.
New
talking
year,
home
new
ice,
us, buddy. New year, new us, new Leafs, new attitude. This is the positive Leaf show from now on.
Sitting here talking home ice.
Ice. Yeah, I know. Go back to 2 episodes ago. I'm probably ranting about how they're not going to make the playoffs. Can I tell you?
I sound like an idiot.
Can I tell you? I'm rattled that people were saying don't chirp Matthews, because it's like, bro, I wasn't chirping Matthews. I was saying we need Matthews.
You went out on him pretty hard that one episode.
But what I was saying was we need him to be at a Hart Trophy level if this team is going to go where we all want it to go. That was my point.
You think the fact that him and Bieber are so tight now that he's stepping up?
Bieber's trying to become...
Your theory's correct?
Bieber's trying to become the Drake of the Leafs.
Yeah, no, that's not happening.
He's trying to become the global ambassador.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah,
they're playing
maybe your theory's
arena.
correct. Maybe he was trying so hard to be buddies with Bieber that it finally worked, and now he can focus on his 200-foot game and scoring goals and leading the league in goals. Maybe that's what it was.
That wasn't my theory. That's not my theory. That's your theory.
Yeah.
My theory is Bieber's just trying to be the Drake of the Leafs. That's my theory.
Yeah, all kidding aside, though, like 31 Genos, like
I know.
looking pretty good at this point, bud.
Already.
And like tonight, that shot to tie up the game, the one-timer. If that guy adds a one-timer to his arsenal, he's the best goal scorer in the National Hockey League.
That was filthy. The goal to send it into overtime.
That's all he's missing. He's got maybe not the hardest wrist shot in the league, but the best wrist shot in the league. Yeah. And if you add a one-timer to that, like, good night, see you later, 40 a year, every year if you play all 82, which is also underrated, the fact that he's actually been healthy all this year, which is something
Ryan, knock on wood right now, buddy.
Yeah, it's true. It's a little early, but so far, so good. Let's say that.
Yeah, knock on wood right now.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do our first Bum and Beauty of 2020.
It's time to find out who's a bum and who's a beauty. Take it away, buds.
Ryan, have you given any thought at all to this, or are you just going to shoot from the hip?
It's a tough one.
Yeah. I'm shooting
from the
hip a little bit on
candidates.
This one. Yep.
Yeah, there's two candidates. I'm just gonna go with Sheldon Keefe as my beauty of the week, or beauty of the time we've been off.
Beauty of the holiday break.
Yeah. Like it's hard to go with anyone else. There's been a bunch of guys who've stepped up, but at the end of the day, it's one guy. My New Year's resolution was their special teams to get better, and they have the number one power play in the NHL since he took over.
Ryan.
And I still think it needs some work, but like there's one thing, switching up the lines. There's another thing.
Yeah.
Just bringing an overall different energy to the hockey team. There's another thing.
Friedman said tonight that since Keefe has taken over, they've had the number one power play in the league.
Yeah, like it's been phenomenal, and I still think it needs a little bit of work, as I just said, but like it's just all the difference. Like it just looks like a different team. Like it's not even like, I'm bringing it back to me just being selfish on a Wednesday night sitting down to watch a Leaf game. It's a couple months ago, it was bad, man. Like it was not.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I was not stoked to watch some of these games.
Not an enjoyable experience.
No, and then they go on this run, and now it's like, okay, get that little Kawhi Leonard Raptors magic into you, what Keefe has injected into this hockey team, and it's now I'm pumped to watch the games, and now I'm excited, and now I'm invested in every play, and I'm watching all these new players, and I'm focusing on Mason Marchment and what Auston Matthews is doing, and Pierre Good Guy Engvall, and it's just like I could go through example, but at the end of the day, it's just the overall magic this guy's brought to this hockey team, and just his temperament, his personality, his new style, him being young. Like I would love playing for him, like that. Like I always said, I would hate playing for Babcock, and I would love playing for Keefe now, seeing what he's done, because he knows what he's doing. He's fresh.
Ryan, you don't have to sell me. I said earlier, I'm the chairman of the board, Sheldon Keefe fan club.
Yeah, and it's
seems like the biggest beauty.
Yeah, and like it seems like he gets kind of pissed when he has to get pissed too. Like he's not just some walkover supply teacher.
That's the key. The key is like knowing when you got to turn into bad cop. Like I said, I loved his explanation for pulling Fred the other night. I loved it. Could he have put him back in the third period? Sure. But I loved how he was like, he just calls the team out. It's like, I'm not going to put him back there behind this crap. I love that.
Yeah, and bad cop always works better when you're fresh and nobody really knows you and you're not too familiar. Like, that's when bad cop works the best. But when you finally, like, you come in, you kind of get used to everyone. But when it's time to be bad cop early in your tenure, like, you better make it count and worth it and set a tone for these guys when they play awful and when they avoid all defensive responsibility, which this team is the goat at.
Yep.
Like, you better set a precedent of how you're going to respond. And so far, it seems like he's done that. So, Sheldon Keefe, beauty of the new year.
I'm going with it for my beauty of the new year, Ryan. My selection is good guy Pierre Engvall.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll tell you why. Because this guy has given the Leafs some forward depth to the point that if Kyle Dubas wants to look at potentially moving a Kapanen or a Janssen at the deadline to bolster the blue line, which I still think they need to do if they want to go deep in the playoffs, Engvall has made that possible because he's shown that he's ready to play right here, right now at this level. And yes, he plays really well in his third line role, and that's the type of guy he is. But just like you said it earlier, and I couldn't agree more, the way teams like the Leafs have success is finding guys like Pierre Engvall and having them play well. And the dude, I notice him every night. I notice him every single night. Huge fan of the guy. My beauty of the new year so far, solely for the reason that he's allowed Dubas the ability to make a move now, in my opinion, at the deadline, is good guy Pierre Engvall.
Love it. Love it. Just an awkward hockey player. Like, you just watch him skate,
like,
do things, but like, guy makes unreal plays all the time. Like, never makes a bonehead move ever.
Nope. Love him.
All right, the bum's going to be tough.
Yeah, the bum is going to be tough.
See, I'm going to kind of contradict myself here.
Hold on. I think we need to do... Hold on. Before we move on to bum, I think we both need to do a special honorary beauty shout-out to Hutch, because you and I defended Hutch in the beginning, and then we kind of fell off because it was hard to defend him there for a bit. I was genuinely happy for the guy to see him get a shutout on Saturday night, in a big game too. Yeah. Like, it's not like he went in there and shut out the Red Wings. Like, I was genuinely happy for the guy.
Yeah, not every backup goalie's a legend. One thing your backup goalie needs is confidence. Mm-hmm. And just trying to find the best situation. It's like throwing him in against that game against the Islanders. It was a complete gamble by Sheldon Keefe. But guess what? It worked out, and when it works out, you look like a beauty. You look great.
All right. On to the bum. Bum of the new year.
All right, bum of the new year. This is tough because they've been on such a good run.
Yeah, this is tough.
And I'm going to kind of contradict myself here, considering my beauty of the week was Sheldon Keefe. But my bum of the new year was his idea to put Justin Hull and Marty Marinson as the shutdown pair against Connor McDavid. What the hell was that?
Yeah.
Like, I know you can...
He's in a tough spot, man.
I know. You could bottle up enough magic. Like, he's had a lot of magic here, and a lot of the things he's put together has worked. And they did look good for a game or two. I'll give you that. But when you're going up against the greatest skater in the history of the game, like, leave Marty Marinson on the bench when that guy's on the ice.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, that was a brutal move. And, like, before the game, they're hyping it up, and it's like, let's see how Marinson and Hall do against McDavid. And it's like, I don't need to see it. I already know it. They're going to get dummied. And that's exactly what happened. So that little dream shutdown pair that lasted a couple games is over, and that is my bum of the new year.
I'm going to stay on the defensive side with you for my bum of the new year, and I'm going to change it to bums of the new year. And it is the defense pairing of Morgan Rielly and Tyson Barrie. We can start with Morgan Rielly getting absolutely owned by Connor McDavid. And then the next day, all of a sudden revealing that he has all these injuries that he's dealing with. And it's like, well, Morgan, I don't doubt that you're injured, but you're playing like 25 minutes a night every night, so you're not that hurt. So, yeah. And Tyson Barrie, because I just find the guy to be largely ineffective. And unless something drastically turns around, I've said this for weeks, I'll drive the guy to the airport at the end of the season. Like, thanks. thanks for your year of service.
Yeah.
Have fun elsewhere, bud. Like, it's just not a fit here.
Yeah.
But did you not think that was a little
chirp?
Did you not think that was a little weird with Morgan Rielly? Like, he just comes out today and is like, I've been dealing with a ton of injuries all season long, and I had a procedure done.
After he got walked.
Yeah, I know.
After he got embarrassed.
I know.
After he got embarrassed.
I know. And
it's like Aaron Rodgers when he starts throwing the ball horribly. He gets got a gimped knee.
Yep. Like, it's just like, come on, man. It's like, dude, the Leafs are like one of the most advanced teams in the league when it comes to sports science. If you were really that hurt, you would not be playing upwards of 25 minutes a game. Just saying.
I hate getting on Rielly, man. I'm going to be honest. Like, I'm biased towards players that I like, and I'm hard on players I dislike. I love Morgan Rielly, so I will do everything I can to defend Morgan Rielly. I do not like William Nylander, so it's hard for me to find things to say nice about William Nylander.
Yeah.
So the fact that Rielly, like, he's been your bum a lot this year.
He hasn't had a good year, man.
Honestly, it's been fair.
I love him too.
No, it's been fair, man. Like,
I love him too. Ryan, at the beginning of the year when we were having the whole who's the captain gonna be discussion, he was my pick.
It made sense. And dude, he had 70 points last year.
Yeah, he hasn't had a good year.
Goals.
He's not had a good year.
No, he hasn't been great, and it pains me. But I can't disagree with that. It's Barry's Barry. Barry's just a faster Gardner. Yeah, that's what Barry is. He's just a faster skater.
At least Gardner chipped in offensively.
And that's what's crazy too. Barry's like a 50-point defenseman. Can't put the puck in the ocean. The last guy I want to take a point shot.
He's just had some sort of mental block since coming here. It just hasn't worked out.
Yeah, I just, like, we've talked about it before. Like, you talked about good guy Pierre Engvall and my guy Ilya Mikheyev, and you got Moore, and you got Marchment, you got Brooks, and you got Janssen. You have a stack full of wingers. And to me, there is one guy on this hockey team who is worth a half-decent defenseman who can fill in good minutes for your team, and it's Kasperi Kapanen.
Well, don't forget, too, and I should say, while I'm sitting here talking about, like, alluding to making a deal for a defenseman, there's all kinds of discussion now that they're going to bring Sandin up again, who had, like, an unreal World Juniors.
That I'd be down for.
Yes.
See, I would do the thing where it's like, every year in the playoffs, there is a hockey team, it could be any hockey team, who brings up a guy like that on their team, and they have an unreal playoff. Like that, I would bring him up around then. Like, I don't know if I'd bring him up right now, you know? And I wouldn't be too upset if they didn't bring him up at all, because I'm all about keeping the contracts at 3 years entry level. Or I'm down for not burning a year, but I'd be down to move somebody to replace that CC spot.
Yes.
Because Justin Hall has moved ahead of him
Yes.
And with Muzzin back in the lineup, you're kind of looking at CC being like, you're the sixth guy.
Yep.
You're serviceable. You can play. You're okay. I'd take CC over Marinson any day of the week.
Yep.
For sure, because Marinson looks uncoordinated out there.
Yep.
But I'd be down to move a winger piece for another guy who could fill in that role, even though I do not think Kyle Dubas is going to do that.
No,
but
well, we have to wait and see.
just
how
for
it goes.
fun conversation.
Anyway, they don't play again until no Saturday night game this week. They're Sunday night against the Florida Panthers. I'm in trouble for that game, Ryan, because that game is going on at the very same time that my Green Bay Packers are hosting the Seattle Seahawks at Lambeau Field in a divisional playoff game. So I'm gonna be having the two TVs going for that one. But
I'm all pack. I'm gonna be honest.
I'm hoping for it, bud.
Ever since my Tommy got ditched, I'm all pack.
I was gonna ask you about that before we shut her down here. So you're it's well documented that you are a New England Patriots fan.
And I'm sure some of you are saying nice and some of you are throwing up wherever you listen to this podcast.
So what do you think is going to happen next year, Ryan? I think we can all agree the problem with the Patriots this year was just one of the worst offensive lines I've ever seen. No real talent at the wide receiver position.
The worst running game in football.
Yeah, yes.
Awful running game. Non-existent.
Was it Brady's best year?
No.
Not by any stretch, but do I think he's done? No, I also don't think so. I think he's got 1 to 2 years left in him, but it's at the point now where like you can't just surround him with bums and make him do something. So what do you think happens with Tom Brady?
I have absolutely zero idea if this guy is going to be the quarterback of the New England Patriots next year. The only thing that's making me believe he's going to come back is like, who the hell is going to replace him? Like, there's a lot of free agents out there, but it's like, their backup right now, Stidham. Like, no, not good enough. The backup for Tom Brady's in San Francisco right now, and he's not there anymore. So it's like, pay the big dough, come back for a year or two, big deal. Like, who cares? But are Belichick and Brady's ego that big? Like, that they need to separate to prove to each other? I think that's a media-driven narrative, but I don't know, man. I hope he's back because I've always wanted to prove to people that through tough Patriot times, I will always be a Patriot fan. But I'm not going to lie. If Tom Brady goes somewhere else, like, I'm going to be a fan of that team too.
Yeah.
Like, if he's a Raider next year or a Charger or wherever he goes, like, you damn right I'm cheering for that football team because I love that man.
Honest to God, you know what team I think would be a good fit for him? And I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm just going off the top of my head, like, where could he go? Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears I still have a top 5 NFL defense and have some good weapons on offense. Their problem is Mitchell Trubisky's their quarterback.
Yeah. To me, Brady's going to go. If Brady's going to go somewhere.
For the record, I don't think he's leaving.
No, it makes more sense for him to come back. But to me, if he's going to go anywhere, like, that team has to have a chance to do something. He's not going to go to some garbage team. No, he's not. Like, no.
Agreed.
If he's going somewhere, he's going to a team where he can add to his legacy, not tarnish it. Agreed. So I love Tommy, man. Tommy's my favorite. Anyone who knows me, Tommy is my favorite professional athlete in the history of sports. I love the man.
But he's eliminated now, Ryan, and the Green Bay Packers still remain.
Well, we had our time, man. We had our time.
Go Pack, go. I think they can win on Sunday, Ryan. I think they can win on Sunday.
I'm a little nervous for them, I'm not going to lie.
I'm a little nervous for them, too.
Dude, it's amazing, though. Like, I wear a Patriots toque, like, everywhere during the winter.
Yeah.
And, like, in malls, in grocery stores, in anywhere. This hat causes more conversation.
Yeah.
than anything I've ever experienced in my life.
Yeah, they're a national brand.
And it's either like, nice, man. Like, what do you think? Or it's like, oh, you're a Patriots fan, eh?
Yep.
Hey, bud?
Yep.
And it's like, sorry, bud.
Probably a Bills fan or something.
Yeah. Yeah, they suck.
All right. Well, we're back in our regular schedule now, Ryan. Got at least get a nice couple days off. So we'll be back here next week sometime. Talk to you then. Thanks for downloading, everybody.